Hello viewers, welcome to 45 TV Politics with Jude. I'm here with Derek. Derek, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing too?
Not bad. Yeah, it's getting hot in Ghana.
It is.
It's that season again.
Yep.
The political season.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's sweltering hot. The heat is so hard that it's so high that every other day we the panelists do have something to talk about.
Yeah.
What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's that season again. That season that every political party want to sell out their ideologies and their vision to the people. In Ghana, we can never do politics devoid of the propaganda and the agenda and the drive to get people to their side. It's all part of the politics. Politics is so much skeptics and a lot of mannerism within the politics. It's not about telling people their ideologies or selling the ideologies to them, but then a lot is entailed to it. It is just plain, it's a textbook in front of us. Just a couple of months to the December 7th poll, and we are just seeing the small bits of what the volcano that is said to be
about to erupt.
Yep.
About the volcano erupting. Let me pause and then let me say this real quick. Viewers, we encourage you to subscribe, like, and comment. Here at 45 TV Politics, we bring you nothing but the truth. We are unafraid to speak truth to power. We say it as is. We want the betterment of Ghana, and we know you do as well. Talking about the volcano erupting, is it business as usual? You know, throwing manifestos out there, we're peddling all sorts of falsehoods and propaganda just to win the vote. Is it just like, let's take another turn? Do we really care about development?
Oh, not that much. Especially not that much. But you'd ask people about the manifestos, and a lot of people would struggle to even give excerpts and pieces of what people want to, or what is really entailed in the manifesto. Yeah. It is not that much. People look at some people that look at their current situation, their economic situation, and they want to vote. Others would not even vote at all.
Right. But that is the citizenry. But let's look at it from the political actors, right? Is it time that we change our brand and style of politics as politicians? Is it that, if we are looking favorable, we just come in and then pitch anything, put anything flowery in the eyes of these people, then they vote for us, and then we're going to repeat the same old mistakes, like the bourgeoisies. Mm-hmm. Is that what is to make of our politicians, or are we waiting for Kenya to erupt before we learn a lesson?
These politicians, they prey on our innocence and how fallible people are.
Agree.
So they push into what they want to hear and what they want to listen. So that will make them continuing to do what they want to do. Not until when the citizens themselves align themselves to issues, align themselves to their current circumstance, align themselves to what is going to happen, and vote and toe on that line. Politicians will continue to push in narrative that is going to paint the other black, narrative that is going to paint white, just to make themselves look good.
Just to make themselves look good. Viewers, today we are getting to the very crux of the politics today. We've had two vice presidential nominees from the main parties in Ghana, which is the NDC and the NPP. They have all accepted their nominations, and then they have said some things in their speeches. We want to take a minute to listen to the acceptance speech by Professor Jinana Opoku-Agyeman. We'll get the producer to play it for the viewers. We'll be back in a minute.
Election ahead is not so much about Ghana making history, although that is important. It is not so much about returning a competent president back to power. It is not even about producing the first woman vice president. Historical and exciting though these are, it is not only about bringing the NDC back to power, although that is indispensable in our current circumstances. The elections ahead and winning them is about winning elections for a purpose. The purpose goes beyond those enumerated above. The purpose is the opportunity to heal our country again. It is about the opportunity to pull Ghana back from the precipice of destruction, of normalizing corruption, of incomprehensive greed, from deep despair. The election ahead and winning it for our party is about hard work and abiding sacrifice. It is to embrace everyone in building a Ghana that functions again. It is to work towards a Ghana where citizens have confidence and hope and are determined to regain their independence of thought and of agenda. We must work towards a Ghana that at the very least can feed itself. We know we can.
Yeah, Derek. So what do you make of Professor Ginana Opoku-Agyeman's acceptance speech for the NDC ticket?
Yeah, it was a nice acceptance speech. She actually punched on what it's actually happening in Ghana over the past few years, especially in the second term of the NPP, where a lot of scandals has been unraveled from the first term of office, where they had this Ameri deal, the Ejapa.
Someone was sacrificed in Ameri deal.
Yeah, someone was sacrificed. Chairman Tim was sacrificed in Ameri deal.
Scapegoat.
In fact, as early when they took over, there was this cash for seats. That cash for seats scandal that unraveled when even Muntaka was even indicted in that scandal that happened, the PDS and the recent SSNIT situation. So a lot of things have been happening in this current regime. So she actually touched on what Ghanaians really want to see, because the NPP said a lot of things during the 2016, before the 2016 election, when Bawumia mounted the podium, because he was very vocal, holding a lot of town hall meetings, incompetent Mahama, how corrupt the Mahama administration were, how inflated they were, but then they are here. And only, in fact, is Ato Forsen that recently he's been put on a trial, and that trial has a lot of inconsistencies with respect to that, with he and the Minister of Attorney General, a lot of leaked videos and leaked tapes that unraveled. So Ghanaians are expecting a party to come and do something that is going to make the government, if Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman and John Mahama becomes president and vice president, and they indict those people that are responsible for our misfortune, people within their government are going to be very careful with the things that they do, because they know that if I steal, they know if I am corrupt, the next government are going to hunt me. So it's something very powerful that she said that I would put a pat on her back, that she actually touched on that.
So patting her back, are you saying that, and let me just paraphrase a quote in her speech. She said it's about politics with a purpose, or I think accepting the position with a purpose, is winning with a purpose. She said, because the purpose here, in her understanding, is the impunity for which you've talked about. You know, government literally, for the want of a better word, abusing the state purse. We know that in 2016, Nanado said he was coming to protect the state purse.
Yeah.
But right now, we don't even know where the purse is to think of looking for the lock for the state purse. So I think you agree with her, talking about these very basic concerns that Ghanaians are putting out there.
Yeah, in our recent podcast, I said something that the president has so much power. The powers alluded to the president is so much that he ends up abusing it. The power the president has in appointment of all these state agencies, he literally controls people that handle those situations. And it's an unwritten fact that most of these campaigns are being financed by people through these state agencies, where money is being siphoned to, fund some of these campaigns. So with what you said rightly, yes, Nanado said he's going to protect the national purse. He said something during the COVID-19. What he cannot do is to bring people back to life. But what he can do is to protect our economy. Is that economy that which he promised to do? Of course not.
Of course not. Ladies and gentlemen, of course not. I'm going to pause Derek here for a second. We want to listen to the acceptance speech of Nana Opoku Prempeh, aka Napo of the NPP. Take a listen.
Yes, NPP party. Obi Obeka say ya bin share behind Oboa. Kana do da kwa Kufuado. Odun kwa the president wa ba efi obochi ekomo mada. Meboa. Efi obochi ekomo ne dey. Ewia si nyina chi kom no na Ghana wo dey aduane. Obi ade nyame ase. Nyame aye bia ma party no. Do wa say. Be dey kan enema sabi tie. Aha be say the word dream ye. So your baburu na wo NPP a asema meka chewa ne say osum sompa ubekọ wanim. Osum sompa ubekọ de wanim. Oya test call ni o, oya sadu ajumo, osum sompa oya de ukọ wanim. De ebinom ni Ghana koduru ye. Ana ni da so ni no. Na na do dan kwa Kufuado aba, ama ni to so ya de aba. Sana nyame babu ama Dr. Bomi aba na wasifie papa bi enya ede yatsem etienne bijraha bunyina ye kamo ndana na do dan kwa Kufuado ase no ayabi nyame afa so ahia Ghana fo nyina nyefe so ye papa no abobra na wawuba na obano abedi wade na odi tapade na ire akona nim na na do kwa Kufuado awu Dr. Baumia ama na Ghana fo nyina o se bakọ ya no ho efe na ho akono ya di Ghana ni ma yedai eye ya ti NPP kroi ebi sida ya nyina ye be ka bo ma bia ya adwumade afiwe ami asha na do kwa Kufuado ebi se odun kwa Dr. Baumia bere obeba ebi siwa NPP boda Ghana ha yachechi Ghana abakosoma President Kufuado call retirement not to be Mr. Kesiri who said a free say yachechi Ghana from 1957 ebe kane yenya president bi awabo Ghana China na do kwa Kufuado Messi a free 1957 bekane mo famo kwamre Nkrumah no mo famo obia de wa bedi mampanya wa bonga na ho ban edi Ghana kola nim China na do dankwa Kufuado.
Eric, Napo for you.
Yeah, Napo. See, in our last podcast, I said that the NPP choosing Napo as a vice presidential candidate is very strategic. He's an Ashanti and he's from Malaysia. Napo said a lot of things in acceptance speech, but one thing he said that is gaining highlight is saying that under the Fourth Republic, or since the inception of Ghana being a republic, there is no precedent that has been better than Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. And he made a statement that not even your Nkrumah.
1857, Bakanya, Mofamo Kwame Nkrumah no, Mofamo Obia de wa bedi mampanya, wa bonga na ho ban, edi Ghana kola nim China na do dankwa Akufo-Addo.
And for Ayman Khan, and using the word "yo" is a bit insulting. Like in our local parlance, and yet it is a bit insulting, a bit demeaning. He's come out to apologize.
But about he coming out to apologize, did you not think that was a big platform for him to be decorous and also look presidential, having been plagued with the arrogant tag and also disrespectful tag? Don't you think that with all that's going on in the country now, it would have been a wonderful platform for him to have looked at the bigger picture and not look at it from a micro level, right? Because I believe, and from what you're saying, maybe he may have looked at his audience, which is in the Ashanti region, and didn't look at Ghana as a country as a whole. What was your take on that?
Look, the NPP as a party knows very well. In fact, I posted a tweet. I was with a brother. I said that Ghana, as we all know, that Ghana could be very terrible, but election years are so different. True. We see a bit of liberation every election year. There is a bit of comfort in every election. But this election year is absolutely different. The NPP knows very, very well that if in this election, if votes is being gone on policies or people's current economic situation, they are not going to win the elections. So the NPP is tolling on the tribal lines. I said it in our last podcast that if NPP is able to garner a lot of votes from the Ashanti region, there is nothing that is stopping the NPP from winning the elections.
But I beg to differ. I was on the last podcast. I beg to differ, and I want to state this. There is historical fact that Ashanti region alone has not won the NPP elections. If you look at it, where from prior to 1992 all through, even let's go to pre-Fourth Republic, right? Ashanti region alone, right, has never won NPP this election. They are under that. Because I beg to differ, I would say they are under that illusion, right, that if they are able to get 90% in Ashanti region, which is not the case, those are a Kufuor era, you know, those times. I don't think that we can have those times now, given the level of enlightenment we are having in Ashanti region now, and the voter mannerisms, right? Let's even assume, right, or let me say, granted, without admitting that Ashanti region is going to give the NPP a 99%, right, for the presidential. There is no way the NPP can win. It's just one out of the other regions, right? That's one out of the 16 regions. Unless the argument is they win Ashanti region, they win Eastern region, right, and then they win some, let's say, a huge chunk of the Bono region, right, with pockets of the north, then yes. But Ashanti region alone, I beg to differ. And I'm speaking based on historical facts.
You see, you are possibly looking at the swing votes or looking at how our regions are
No, I'm looking at Ashanti region.
The Ashanti region concept is about the numbers. You see, Ashanti region is not the populated region. Right. The Greater Accra region is the populated region. True. But ask yourself, what is their voting pattern? What is the voting margins? So if NPP or NDC wins the Greater Accra region, what are the voting margins? The margins are not even more than 10K. But if NPP is winning the Ashanti region, they win over 1 million voting margin. And that 1 million voting margin, if the NDC wins the Volta region, wins Oti region, wins Bono East, wins other regions, when you put together their voting margins in those regions, they don't they hardly compete the margins that the NPP gets in the Ashanti region. I talked about one constituency, the Kwabri East constituency. The amount of vote is the most densely populated constituency in Ghana. The voter margins the NPP gets alone in the Fija, in the Kwabri East constituency, that alone is able to compare to the voter margin the NDC gets in the voter region. True. That is what I was trying to talk about here. So if the NPP gets huge margin in the Ashanti region, it gives them that vote. Now, back to what with Napo's speech. You don't expect Napo to be praising Nkrumah. It was a platform. It was the biggest platform to indict Nkrumah. The NDC over the years are trying to push themselves through the Nkrumah lane. Yeah. So, in a way, for him to speak against the NDC, he had to use Nkrumah to come into the picture. Everybody knows the history behind Nkrumah and the Ashantis. Nkrumah's idea, his ideology, was to come with a national identity. That was Nkrumah's idea. Nkrumah was, in the old Ghana, we had the Gold Coast, we have the Northern Territories, and we had the you have the Transvolta, and we have the Ashanti Confederacy. That is what we had. So Nkrumah had the Gold Coast, but then when Nkrumah wanted to put the nation together, the Northern Territories and the Ashanti Confederacy, they were not happy with what Nkrumah was doing, because they felt that with what Nkrumah was actually doing, he was reducing the power of the chiefs. And that was what Nkrumah intended to do. Nkrumah felt that the Ashantis were a threat to him.
Well, that is the part of the history. That's the part of the history that is being put out there. I do have a little understanding of that, right? Especially not from the side of the history that has been told by one side, right? It's true. We're trying to form a unitary government, and then the Ashanti said no, they wanted to still keep the confederacy. And I didn't think, or from the independent writers who wrote about this situation, the idea was not to reduce the powers of the chiefs. Because if you look at even Nkrumah's unitary government, it's a unique one, which is a blend of the British government and then the US system. That is why we have the new presidential, right? It still gave the chiefs the powers within their locality or within their sub-regions. Let me put it. But just to interject, say this.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But then, those times taxes, the chiefs or the Asante was receiving taxes.
Right.
But then
all the chiefs.
All the chiefs were receiving taxes. They were receiving taxes. But then I buy into that, regardless of my roots. I am an Ashanti, but regardless of my roots, I buy into what Nkrumah wanted to achieve. He wanted to achieve a national identity. So if that was actually achieved, I believe that Ghana today wouldn't be where we are going from.
Yeah, and I was going to come to that. I was going to come to that big time because these chiefs at the time, right, were fighting Nkrumah from uniting Ghana. That could only mean that we would, in this day and age, still be under colonial rule. Because what heightened colonialism is the inability of chiefs at the time of colonialism to come together, right, to somewhat fight back the white man. In fact, it was believed that those who enjoyed colonialism the more were some of our chiefs who were selling our brothers or our fathers, our grandfathers, right, to the white man for some, not money, for some white powder, some sugar, some mirror and things, right? Now, Nkrumah got stowed away and whatnot, and then he went to study. He saw what was going on there. He came back, and then we know what the fight led to, right? Today we are all talking about Fahundie. We are all talking about the Ghana we see, the Ghana we love, right? Yes, I don't want us to trivialize most of the conversation. Napo said what he said, right? Arrogant or not arrogant, I think that it brings us to the point where we have to look at Nkrumah not as a political actor, but we look at Nkrumah being the fighter of the Republic versus the Fourth Republic. Nkrumah, the one who gained Ghana's independence versus the Fourth Republic. Because you and I, right, are still here to see what's happening in the Fourth Republic, right? And Nkrumah that had 6 years, right, whether it was dictatorial or not, what he did, we can do the comparisons. I believe, and I don't know about you, and sorry viewers, I believe that Nkrumah is in a class of his own. And in today's politics, it's about NDC, NPP, right? But I still want us to do that comparison because a lot of presidents have come past Nkrumah.
You see, personally, I'm of the view of I'm someone that do not want to compare people from different generations,
right.
different from different era, because a lot of circumstance comes into play.
It does.
The opportunities that you may have, I may not have.
True.
Nkrumah ruled in an era where he didn't have too much of opposition. He had absolute, absolute control in his governance. But here we have the NPP, the NDC governance, where a lot of things had to go through due process. But Nkrumah, as the leader of government business, as a president, as prime minister, there were a lot of things that Nkrumah did that he didn't have to get a lot of intervention. Yeah. That is why Nkrumah wanted to institute the Preventive Detention Act, disbanding all political parties and ruling with a cool head.
Yeah, but that's not what the Preventive Detention Act was about.
Nkrumah wanted to disband the formation of the...
but everything Nkrumah did go through Parliament.
It went to Parliament.
And we had an NLM at the time.
And Nkrumah found a way to disband the NLM.
He did not.
Because Nkrumah formed the Discriminative Act. And when that act was being formed, that act was to disband any political party that is being formed on religious or tribal lines. And that took away the NLM. Yeah, but the NLM didn't even die eventually. Yes, it didn't. It found a way to come through the UP.
United Party.
The UP.
Right. And they were Bafwa Koto, this lawyer. He was Victor say.
Yeah, Victor Wusu.
Victor Wusu. Yeah. He did with this. They were all in Parliament. No, they were all in Parliament. Right? So I personally beg to differ. When we talk about, Nkrumah didn't have any opposition at the time, or any true opposition at the time, right? Okay, true or no true opposition, right? Did we make significant gains?
Oh yes, we did. With pertaining to a lot of the institution of infrastructure, which is a drive for a lot of every government.
Right.
Nkrumah was able to initiate a lot of infrastructure. And someone could also argue that Nkrumah had a lot of funds because the British had just left and the population difference is not as same. The demand is demand and supply. It was different. With the people at present, the population, and that of today, there is a huge difference with respect to that.
Let's talk about finance for a second, viewers. Let's talk about Nkrumah had a lot of funds. Are we saying that there are no funding now for government?
There is funding.
In fact, I think there's funding more now, but for mismanagement of these funds, at the time, I didn't think Nkrumah had to, pay some ghost names.
No, Nkrumah didn't.
Yes, I didn't think Nkrumah had to pay some ghost names, some monies. Nkrumah didn't have to pay the party chairman some salaries or give some hefty contracts, right, to government appointees, right, for doing some bidding of the government, or some people didn't need to siphon some monies. Because Nkrumah in Ghana's history is the only man, forget about his politics for a second, but he's the only man after the coup and whatnot, didn't have a 3 or 20-acre plot somewhere.
You see, that is how the last...
No, but let's talk about, we're talking about finance. Mm-hmm. See, because Nkrumah was more nationalistic and was focused on putting up factories.
Yep, but then where, you see, politics is so dirty.
It is.
Nkrumah at a point, and Nkrumah was nationalistic. But Nkrumah used in fact, the card he was using against his opposition, he used that same card to win elections, the Brouhaha region. Mm-hmm. Nkrumah felt that the Bono people were suppressed under the Ashanti region. That was the main reason why he...
It's an area I didn't want to get to, but that is the crux of the issue that I said we should shelve. The whole issue with the Napo thing you're talking about is the Bono issue, the breakaway of Bono
from the Ashanti region.
Yes.
Breakaway from the Bono from Ashanti region.
Yes.
Because that was what the Bono people needed. So now we know that a lot of those people in the Bono, they align into Nkrumah for what Nkrumah did for them. Mm-hmm. They really align to the vision of, and those people now also align to the NDC now.
Yeah.
But then one thing that people are not getting.
But Eric, sorry, I'm going to make you make that last point. You make the last point, and I'm going to come in. Just
yeah. One thing that people are saying that the people of the Ashanti region, their minds can never be changed from MPP. It's something that I don't believe it now. In the early 19th century, there was one Asante in Nana Bonsu. What happened? He was distilled. Why was he distilled? It was the youth, which we call in our local language Nkrumah. The youth stood against him and he was distilled. He was dethroned. So if the youth were able to stand up against the Asante, what makes you think that the Ashantis today can stand against?
But that's been my point then, saying that if the NPP, if this is their strategy that they are going to consolidate the Ashanti region, right? Because as the people of Ashanti region can't change their mind. I think it's a flawed mentality.
Oh yeah, it's going to take some time, but I believe it's not just about Nkrumah, but a lot has to do with Jerry John Rawlings.
Yeah,
the Jerry, my uncle, for instance, so he harbors his bitterness
because
towards
of the
Jerry.
The Kalabule thing.
Jerry.
In fact, then initially some of us did believe that people said they were whipped with other things. It turns out that most of those people who claimed they were whipped, they were not even whipped. But that's not it. I just want to make a quick point about Nkrumah. Then we're gonna move on. The white elephant we have as a political party in Ghana today, which is the CPP, post Nkrumah, did disintegrate.
Yeah.
In its disintegration, a part or a section of them, yes, joined the NDC, and don't forget, a section of them joined the NPP.
Oh yes. A section of them joined the NPP.
So I personally, I'm sorry on this podcast, I'm going to have to say it. I don't think it was strategic enough for NAPO to have said, you're in Nkrumah, people will be paying even within the NPP.
Yes, people are going. A section of people are going to be paying, but then at this point in time, they are all looking at a common goal.
But you and I did see on the Twitter space that people who are not political took offense to that statement. Yeah, I think the way he said it, Derek, it's like you said, it's disrespectful.
It was, but then, like I rightly said, it
does have historical.
It's something that was something that was orchestrated. We know how the NLM was formed. It was formed right from Nshia. Right. The Bafo Koto, the chief linguist of Asante Prempe, he formed the NLM. Was right from Nshia. That came to bear that. In fact, I read an article that the Asante himself said that after the preventive discrimination act was being formed to disband the NLM, it got to a point that he had to reinstate Bafo Koto back. So at the point that he said that Nkrumah threatened him, that he has to choose between Bafo Koto and he himself, the Asante.
Yeah, but it looks like we are taking viewers on a path of historical, lessons here. I want us to look at NAPO, the man, NAPO, his person. People have tagged him arrogant. People have tagged him disrespectful. I want us to do a quick comparison, but then then again, I'm in my thoughts. Do we leave it for next week's edition? Because it's that season. I want us to look at NAPO, the education minister, and Jinana Pukwajima, the education minister. I think it's important. But we'll leave it for next week so that we'll keep our viewers
in suspense.
In suspense. Today, I want us to discuss a very important topic. Over time, we've seen political actors, we've seen politicians buy state properties, state lands. They buy it for cheap. Don't call me. A land that can go for 100,000 US dollars. They buy it for as low as 100 Ghana cedis per plot. All in the name of the power they wield. Same is the story of that which brings money to pensioners. That which is supposed to be protected by the Social Security agency in Ghana. A political crusader who is also an MP, brought this issue to the limelight. Today, Ghanaians have poured out their outrage at the SSNIT situation. Let me bring Derek in to talk about it. Derek, the SSNIT issue.
Yeah, just a little bit from our old conversation. Now, are we really discussing the Mahama met the press?
I will talk about that.
No, I'm saying that too. I'm just hitting on a point. Okay. You see, that conversation has been put back to the drain, all because of the NAPO comment that he made. So everything that he did was really strategic. Now,
this is very good. No. Yes.
In the Meet the Press, I listened and I watched. Mahama made a statement emphatically that under his watch as president in his next government, there is no single public official, being it a minister, being a head of a state agency, that under his watch that would be able to purchase a state property. He was so emphatic on it.
Yes, he did. He said that. Yes.
But then people are not really even making that conversation to make a point for the NDC up against the backdrop.
No, this is really good because you are right. NAPO's statement did neutralize that.
It did neutralize it.
You are right.
Whatever he put up there was really strategic. Back from the National Liberation Movement concept, back to what had happened with the Meet the Press issue. And so back to the topic on board. It's very expedient that some of these things are being kept with government officials, ministers, members of parliament holding so much power.
Yeah.
Because
they are buying lands for cheap. They're buying properties for cheap.
Exactly. They have first-hand information as to which government properties, which government lands are being available, and they are buying it. You see, it was yesterday that I realized that the former NPP chairman, Freddie Blay, his father is RS Blay.
Oh, really?
RS Blay, who was with
he was with Nkrumah also.
Yes. When they were forming the UGCC.
Yes.
Father was with RS Blay.
Yes.
So you could see that most of these politicians that we see today, it's more of an inheritance thing. Mahama's father was...
Yes.
He was into politics.
100%. Yes.
Baumia's father was into politics. We all know Akufo-Addo's father was a president. So these people, it's a continuous process.
I talked about the bourgeoisie.
Yes.
The elite, the political elite.
The political elite. That is one thing that...
They're just pulling them,
The Achims we see today, they were nobodies in the political landscape, in the elites. But then it was the NLM people that brought JB Dankwa into the NLM because they were fighting a common enemy. That was Kwame Nkrumah.
Yes.
So they are teams that we see today because they were an elite people.
In fact, I like how you put this, and viewers, you need to take a big cue from what Eric is saying. Yes, you are right. The politics in Ghana is hinged on a particular statement that the enemy of my enemy is my
your friend.
It's my friend. So Dankwa hates Nkrumah, and then Abafo Akoto and others had a problem with Nkrumah. They formed an alliance. They formed an alliance to fight a common enemy, which is Nkrumah. Now, as the alliance was building, the Dankwa and then the NLM themselves, they had an issue.
Yep.
They had an issue to the extent that when the history is this, when it was time for the Achim who felt it was their time to be the leader or something, we had one power grant that broke away. They had that issue happen, and Dankwa too, there was a little rift over there. So they were fighting amongst themselves. But that's not what we are talking about here. We're just giving snippets of what the history looks like with the Nkrumah situation, and then with the other political actors of their grandchildren, their nephews and whatnot, how they are handling Ghana today. Yeah.
So
will you agree with me that they're toying with Ghana?
They are. It's just recently I heard that Mahama's son is now actively, slowly moving into politics. It's becoming a progressive thing. So that and politics is about money. It's about influence. If you don't have the money in our today's landscape, you wouldn't get your way out into the limelight.
Yeah. But would you give props to Okujeto Ablakwa?
In fact,
for exposing this.
I am monitoring him if NDC comes into power, because it could be that he's doing all these things because he's an NDC.
But this is not his first expose, though.
This is not his first expose. This is not and in fact, everybody as a citizen, put away your political power, your political colors away, and just give him the props for what he's done. It's something that is massive. And now the SSNIT themselves, they've backed out.
But let's talk, before they backed out, I want you to give viewers, I was hoping you were going to do that. I want you to give viewers a brief of this. How a sitting MP, who is also a minister, because he has a nice hotel in Koforidua, thinks that he can buy all 30 SSNIT hotels.
You see, that is where another discussion comes up. One day I think we'll look exclusively into it. It's with our constitution. There is no portion of our constitution that bars him from purchasing a state property.
Conflict of interest?
In what sense? Where would the conflict of interest comes in?
He's a sitting member of parliament.
Is he
He's a minister. He's a cabinet minister.
He's a cabinet minister.
He is a cabinet minister.
In what position? What I don't know how to put it. Brian Champon is a cabinet minister.
Yes.
Would he attain in it? Is it a cabinet decision?
But it's obvious.
It's not a cabinet decision.
No. But point is, this issue is not a cabinet.
The procurement is not
a direct cabinet.
It's not a direct.
But he wields power to influence the decision.
He does, but then it would have been an issue.
It's an ethical issue.
It's an ethical issue. That is where it's a morally ethical issue.
Yes.
But legally, nothing binds him. That is where the loopholes in our constitution that allows people to prey on it. In fact, he backed out because of what was happening. In this week, next week, there are going to be series of strike.
Yes.
Series of strike.
Doctors are not going to go to hospitals anymore.
I saw nurses and midwives. I saw Closac, but Closac had an engagement with the government and they backed out.
No, so I want to talk about that. In Closac having an engagement with the government was trying to convince them to allow Brian Champon to buy the hotels. The president. Don't you think heads should roll in this issue?
And it's a very delicate situation. But then I'm happy that he has come out.
He didn't back out. He didn't. No, you see, it's okay for you to be happy, but he didn't back out willingly.
He didn't.
I read that letter. He's saying that. Now, this is the reason why I think they are backing out, right? The Minister for Employment went to Parliament to try to say that they approve of the sale. That is what led to the doctors, the midwifery strike, right? Then Rock City, his hotels, issued a letter saying that SSNIT has not done enough to defend their identity or their reputation out there.
These are all,
No, that's what he said in his
exactly.
letter.
I'm saying
for this reason he's backing out.
It's all political gimmicks. He just doesn't want to look like the bad guy here.
But point is, come on. I think it's dog by dog in the sense that even though he's been exposed, right? His former chairman said his son wanted to buy the thing for $200 million.
Yeah. That goes to the point of RS Blake, his son, and nobody even knows his son that much, and to have that huge amount of money, it's quite ridiculous. It's quite ridiculous. So back to what we're saying now with Closac, the Judicial Council, all of them saying next week is going to be series of strike action. That prompted his decision that let me just back out. And with what Mahama said, now I hope that the next government, being it NPP or the NDC government, takes a cue out of it. That with government officials persistently pursuing government properties, it will come to it where would the next generations after us, everything is going to be owned by private people.
Yeah, but I think Nana Pugachiman said in her acceptance speech also that they are going to aggressively ensure that. Yeah, it's one thing to say though, but they said that they're going to make sure that they don't buy state properties.
Yeah, and it's a good thing.
It's a step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction that government officials are being taken away. Like what you said, some of these, when you go to some of these state institutions, old cars and how they bid it out. Sometimes you are not even going to see the advertisement.
No.
In fact, when the advertisements are being made in the dailies, they've already been sold.
Yes.
They've already been sold.
Yeah.
You see a Land Cruiser and they are selling a Land Cruiser for 200 Ghana cedis, for 2,000 Ghana cedis.
Right.
These are worth thousands of cedis, thousands of dollars. But they end up selling for 2,000 Ghana cedis.
The Ghana we want cannot be like that.
It can't be like that. It can't be like that.
Right.
I think Ghana, as the youth, should be asking questions.
And hard questions.
We should be asking our leaders questions. They are taking us for granted.
Right.
One thing that I believe that the NDC, going back to history, the NDC made a mistake through their reformation from the PNDC to the NDC. The people that they brought, the Ahoys, did the NDC a very disservice. The Ahoys were more of the elitists. So they didn't go down to the root to be able to convince the people, tell the people. So it made the like I always said, and in fact, it is a known fact. People from my region, people from my place, we are the hard, like we suffer most from this political shakeup. Because the NDC feels that, as Mahama said, that Akoko, Sachra, Nkrumah, and Yenefe, even if he makes the roads of Kumasi gold, it is not going to entice them. So why would he make Kumasi? Because he feels that he's still not going to garner a lot of votes. And the NPP as a party feels that Ashanti Eyedia. That is the statement that Napo was making, that this is our party. And that is one of those statements that Adu Buahin was making.
No, yeah, Victor Adu Buahin. But if you want to go by that, if Victor Adu Buahin made that statement in Parliament, and Victor Adu Buahin, right, paid a heavy price for it. Check history. Victor Adu Buahin's unsuccessful bid to become president was from within.
Without doubt.
Yes, it was from within. And Napo, I don't want to go back to the Napo story, but then, we keep.
But then I think
but let me say something about Napo. Napo did make a very troubling statement. He did say that Asante Fodie, Omuhia development, the Omuhia Omamu t-shirt. He said that, which is troubling. You can't say this of your own people. He said that. I don't really want to go back to that thing. Let's come back to his boss. I want viewers to watch a quick video. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is calling for a presidential debate. He is calling for it in my opinion, in one of the most scathing ways ever. Yeah. It's also talks about what he thinks and describes of his opponents' policies. Take a listen.
Looking forward to a debate with John Mahama on the economy, on the country, on the governance. But I'm afraid that he's running away from a debate, isn't it? His people say he doesn't want to debate, but he doesn't want to debate because he knows I'll expose the emptiness of his policies. He says he has a 24-hour economy that he cannot explain. It's as empty as an empty barrel.
Derek, what do you make of the call for a debate?
Over the years, how much of these debated influence our votes as a populace? It's not really influence our, and I don't believe that the NDC would heed to that call to debate.
They are calling in question Dr. Bawumia's credibility
in asking for a debate.
His person, having talked so much about the economy and having failed at the economy.
This is one very huge conversation I would want us to have one day about Bawumia's influence in this present governance.
Yeah, but he did say he's not in charge though. That is where the driver's mate thing comes
when you hear a lot of statement of Bawumia's conversation, everything, he speaks more as an opposition within an incumbent.
We'll have a whole episode on this.
Yes.
Okay, viewers. The call for a debate is not wrong, but however, it's up to the NDC. Derek and I believe that debates do not change the GDP. It doesn't change the exchange rate. It doesn't put food on your table. Neither does it bring money to your pockets. We want them to do the right thing. We want to hold their feet to the fire The average Ghanaian should be able to have employment, go to work, make some money, and then have a proper livelihood. That is what's most important. We look forward to what will be unfolding in the coming days. And then we promise you that we are bringing you nothing but the best. We will talk about the issues. We would differ, and then we would agree on topics. But know this, that you matter, we matter, and Ghana matters. And we want to see the Ghana that we all deserve. See you next week. Subscribe, like, and comment. 45 TV Politics with Jude. Cheers.